welcome to the February 2026 Mangan Park Neighborhood Association meeting. My name is Jennifer Holden. We've got a fine agenda for today's meeting. We're going to start with County Supervisor Patrick Kennedy talking about his efforts on our behalf at the County Board of Supervisors. We are then going to hear from Gavin Raders of Planting Justice to tell us how improvements to the vacant lot on 34th Avenue in Mangan Park are going. We're really looking forward to those improvements. And after that, we're going to hear from Sergeant Jabier Gutierrez of SacPD for the SacPD Safety Minutes. Followed by, we have Jackie Beecham of Youth Parks and Community Engagement, commonly known as the Parks Department, to fill us in more about changes to the parks, well, possible changes to the parks budget and things going on in Mangan Park. And then we've got general announcements and other good things. So thanks for coming out tonight. We're going to have some wonderful conversations that I'm really looking forward to. And let's go ahead and get started with Supervisor Patrick Kennedy. Good evening. How are you this evening, sir?
Good. Thank you, Jen. And again, for those that just got on, I apologize for being off camera, but we're trying to save money at the county and they're not buying me a new laptop and the camera doesn't work. So I'll go into a few things. First, I'll talk about, because we're heading into budget season, and the way the county budget works is we start putting the budget together in February, and all of the departments put in with the county executive what they have, what their wish list is, what the base budget is, and if they have any growth requests, then they put those in. County executive gathers all of those, and taking into account what the board has said priority wise because of what the community has said over the course of the last year, then puts together a budget, which we'll look at June. We will debate it at June, discuss it at June. It'll be pretty close to being finalized in June, except not a lot, but there's a fair amount of it that is speculative because we don't know exactly what's going to happen with the state at that point. So as far as revenues go, so then we come back again in September and we make any kind of adjustments, tweaks that need to be made based upon changing fiscal situation at the state. It's usually pretty close because we're conservative in June so that we don't have any big surprises come September. Last year, we had a $9.2 billion budget. This year, it's probably going to be somewhere around there, somewhere around 10. But we are asking departments to make 2.5% cuts across the board in their proposals to the county executive because $100 million from last year was one-time funds. And, we're very careful not to put one-time funds into programmatic expenses because they're just that one time, and you can't have a program ongoing and suddenly the funds dry up and you're laying people off. So we're pretty careful about that, but we are asking for a 2.5% cut across the board for all county departments. Where the budget problems come from, first, our state funding volatility. As we know, the state hasn't. Let me just go back and say that the state and the county, as opposed, because you're all city residents, I'm assuming, for the most part, the city budget is very different than the county budget. County budget is highly dependent on federal and state funding. So when there's a problem at the feds and the state, we feel it. Whereas the city is more volatile based on things like sales tax and all those. So we do have some volatility with the state with an $18 billion deficit, and that's going to probably impact us on our homelessness efforts. We don't know what that looks like yet, but I just want to put out there that the some of the programs may be reduced or deferred. All speculative at this point. Also, we have some mandated expenses coming up, that expenditures that we've known were coming. One of the biggest is called the Mays Consent Decree. County was sued by a couple of organizations who represent prisoners in our jails in RCCC as well as the county jail. Our county jail was built in 1987. That's pre-ADA. That's pre-HIPAA. It was frankly, it was outdated when it was built. So it does need to be upgraded in order to better serve the people that are in there. On top of that, when it comes to expenditures in our jails, the jail system has almost become a prison system since the state of California shifted so much of the burden of criminal justice from the state and prisons. And they're very, proud to say they've saved money by closing prisons, but they shifted it to the counties. And so our counties were having people, it used to be people stayed there for 364 days. Anything longer than that would be a prison stint with the state prisons. But now we're having people stay much longer. They're older, more medical conditions, a lot more dialysis. But the biggest expense, and where we quite frankly, and I'll say it, I always tell people, it's terrible when the people who are on the other side of the table are right. The way that our jails were built and structured, they were not equipped to deal with people on long-term basis who suffered from particularly mental illness. And we're seeing more and more people coming in with mental illness. I was in Contra Costa County today visiting a new facility at their detention facility that they're kind of a few years ahead of us because they got sued first. And so they've made a lot of the changes that we're currently making. And it actually gave us some best practices. What was proposed originally, which I voted no, I voted against, was $1 billion expansion of our jail downtown. And I just couldn't stomach that. I think that looking at, as an example, you look at that beautiful building across the street that's been built for the new Superior Court building. And that building was built for $600 million. And we're talking about a 3-story building, and they had a price tag of $1 billion. Myself and Supervisor Cerna did not agree with that. We both voted against it, and it turned out, I will never say that I'm always right, but even a blind squirrel can find a nut. And I turned out this time I was, and my gut feeling was that it was too high. And when they took the numbers back and crunched them, it turned out that the numbers were all off. So we had to go to the back of the drawing board. So we're also visiting, as I said today, I was out there, as were all supervisors, out visiting Contra Costa County and trying to come up with some best practices that are somewhat considerably less than $1 billion, but will still satisfy the consent decree that we entered into in the federal lawsuit against the county. I think that we'll end up doing something more at the $300 million, not the $1.4 billion that was. I'm just guessing here, so don't write any of those numbers down. But those, if we don't keep up with the schedule of meeting the needs of the prisoners that are in there, particularly the mental health needs, the HIPAA needs, the ADA needs, if we don't continue to improve, then they'll go back to the judge. They'll go back to the federal the courts, and they'll reopen it. And counties like Riverside, they fought it. They decided, they were early on the process, and they said, we're gonna take us to court. Well, they did, and it cost them over $1 billion. So we're finding that other counties like Contra Costa, Santa Clara, who were ahead of us, but they decided, let's work with these guys, and we're doing that. And so, but at the same time, those price tags are going to start hitting soon. So we've got those costs. We've got economic uncertainty. Nobody knows where the economy is right now. So we're doing a lot of guesswork there. And then really what really is to me, the most concerning part is, of course, the federal funding cuts. And And it's not just budget cuts that are important to take into account here. When you look at the big beautiful, or I call the big ugly bill, that passed HR1, it not only cuts the amount of funding that goes to things like Medi-Cal for our most needy, but it also, it's beyond budget cuts. It limits who qualifies for Medi-Cal and things like SNAP here, what we have in California, but CalFresh programs, healthy foods, WIC programs. It really goes in and not only takes money away, but also limits who qualifies. So, for example, Sacramento County, we have the largest number of Afghan refugees of any county in America. And those are legal residents. These aren't, we're not talking undocumented, we're talking legal residents who the federal government is now saying, as a result of HR1, largely don't qualify for Medi-Cal or food benefits. That's going to take not just that, but then when you take everything else into account, you're looking at 100,000 people in the county of Sacramento being significantly reduced or taken off of the rolls of Medi-Cal. So we're not going to let that happen. We're going to do everything we can, but there will be cuts that are going to be quite troubling and keep me up at night. But if we have to dip into the general fund, we will, because we're not just going to say, federal government's not funding you anymore, you're off the rolls. We'll backfill it to the degree that we possibly can, but it's going to have some significant cuts. The other thing is, of course, the number one issue that people talk about when it comes to counties and county policy is homelessness. And here we have the federal government and the state at the same time making cuts to programs that are vital to our most vulnerable communities. So if you take medical care and you take food away from people, that's not going to help the homeless population. And that's so I hate to be all doom and gloom here, but we do have some tough times. We don't have a significant deficit at this time, but we are going to have to cut programs that are vitally important and relied upon by some of the most vulnerable in our community. And it's sad. We don't know exactly to the degree, and we've joined a number of the lawsuits that you see that are floating out there against the federal government. We've joined a number of counties in injunctive relief to stop some of these cuts from happening. So a lot of it is still unknown. It's very fluid, but you should be aware that is out there. The unfortunate part is that if I lived in many places throughout the country, I'd say call your Congress member. But unfortunately, fortunately, our congressional delegation, regardless of the party, tend to be sympathetic to us and supportive. So calling your congressman in Sacramento doesn't do a lot of good, but it doesn't hurt either. So we do have some serious budget issues when it comes to social services coming that are going to impact us. Are there any questions on those before I move on to something that's kind of more neighborhood based to Mangan Park?
Alex, Barry, Will?
Oh.
Well, I'm Alex, Supervisor
Hello.
Kennedy. How are you?
Good.
I got off the line, so I'm sorry I missed a portion of the presentation, but I did get this piece where there was such a range in pricing for the project. Is that something you can explain?
I'm sorry. I don't understand the question.
Was there a range in the price of the cost in these bids that went out for the project that is being?
Oh, that. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So no, we never went out and we never got to the point where we did we never did bids.
Okay.
What we did was we had a consultant who specializes in these types of facilities. And it's very complicated because it's not just facilities. We're not just building a building or talking about reconstructing a building or changing a building, but you're talking about designing an old building, an archaic building in many ways, but also throwing in programmatic changes too. And so it's both programmatic and physical changes. And we had a consultant come in and provide us with what the budget would be to do what we need to do in order to satisfy the consent decree with the federal government. A couple of us, Supervisor Cerna and I in particular, did not agree with the consultant's findings, even though they're experts. They're at some point you have to take a gut check and think, why is that so high? So we never went out to bid, but what we did was we had this budget, and then the Board of Supervisors was asked to approve the budget and then go out to bid based on that. We never got there because what we found, based on Supervisor Cerna and my questions and our digging into it, was that the numbers weren't very good in that budget. So what we've done is we brought in a third party to look at that, scrub that budget, sharpen the pencil. What is really necessary? What's a Cadillac as opposed to a Buick, and also there was some double counting of numbers, and there was all kinds of. So what we did was we brought in a third party, and they'll soon be providing us with better numbers that I think are going to be considerably lower. At the same time, Alex, while, as I said, even just today I was in Richmond, we're looking at what other counties who are a couple of years ahead of us, what they've done. And we're seeing that there's some best practices that we can put into effect that are considerably less expensive as what was initially given to the Board of Supervisors, but will satisfy the consent decree and the federal, the judge who's overseeing the consent decree. So I expect that we'll have a proposal by the end of this year on another budget, but we never got to the point of actual bids.
Thank you. Now, this question that follows, because of the...
Hang on, we have 2 minutes left and Barry has his hand up. Can we do this one real fast?
Yes, obsolescence. You said the buildings are old, so is that going to be an issue too, where you're upgrading the fixtures and the like just to be able to make it usable?
Oh, everything. I mean, I've talked to experts who have told me that, this jail, which was built in the late 80s, was practically obsolete when it was built. Just as far as the modernization of the thinking of correctional institutions and dealing with people. And here's the biggest thing. In my opinion, and I saw a lot of this today, even in Contra Costa County, one of the things that we have to continue to focus on is not how do we deal with people who are incarcerated? How do we keep people from becoming incarcerated? And for example, can we do more home detentions for someone who's not a danger to society? Are we criminalizing homelessness? Are we taking people who are suffering from mental health and they're only in there because of the manifestation of their mental health crisis, but yet they're really not a danger to society if you deal with it another way? So it's a multi-pronged approach. We do need to do something with the physical plant because it is outdated, and because the way it's built, you can't just upgrade lighting and that type of thing. We've got to do some significant upgrades, but at the same time, we need to look at this more holistically. And in my opinion, one of the big legs on that three-legged stool is keeping people out that shouldn't be there to begin with, who don't pose a threat. So it's all of that, and I'd love to come back and talk more about that particular subject, but it's a big one.
We can look at March time or April time if you would like to come back. I will absolutely dedicate time to do that.
Yeah.
Sir, you are technically at your 6:30 drop off time. We have
all right. Let me throw out one more thing for you, because this is very neighborhood centric for you, Jen, and that's if you haven't heard yet. aviators is back in news, and I know that people in this area, really support aviators. And as you'll recall, what we did was we went out to do an RFP to see if we were maximizing a county resource. It's actually owned by the city, but we have a 25-year lease that's evergreen lease. So we operate it and manage it. And at Executive Airport, that facility really looks like when I was a kid, when it was the Red Baron. And could we utilize that resource in a way that better serves the community and maybe even provide some income for the county and county residents? Overwhelmingly, the people of the surrounding area, being Hollywood Park, Mangan Park, Pocket, Greenhaven, this area, said, no, we want aviators. We want aviators to continue there. And so we said, okay, all right, we heard you. We're going to do a 5-year extension to the aviators lease while we figure out what we're going to do. But in the meantime, aviators will continue to be there for 5 years. Now, what happened recently in the last month or so was we went in to do some regular maintenance. And when you're digging up the floor, we found that the rebar is, it's because of a very old building and very old construction methods. So the rebar is so deteriorated, it's dangerous. So we have a dangerous building here that's an airport with a restaurant in it. So we have an engineer that's coming in to tell us exactly what it's going to take to bring it back up. Now, it's probably going to be a project that will go beyond aviators, because Chick, who is the aviators operator who I've met with, and he understands all of this. I think Chick's somewhere around 92 years old, somewhere in there, maybe in his mid 80s. But he's not interested in a long-term lease. So we won't know until the end of March, when we get the engineer's report, exactly what it's going to cost. But while we were there, we found rebar that is like dangerous. And I'm not talking about just aviators, but a health and safety concern, even the tower itself. Then we've got mold we found. And of course, whenever you're digging into a building like this, you uncover asbestos. So all of that needs to be mitigated now. And so it's going to be expensive, and it's probably going to take, and don't quote me on this either, because the engineer's report comes in at the end of March, but it's probably going to take a minimum of 1.5 years to really get in there and make changes. So we're working with Chick and his 10 employees to make them whole and find them work, maybe at International Airport, but aviators is likely to be closed for an extended period of time.
All right. Thank you for that very good update on what to expect there. Now, 1.5 years, people are going to be a little morose. They love that restaurant. And the whole Freeport Boulevard corridor has been suffering dreadfully the last 10 years. Other, precious, beloved restaurants have closed down just in the last 3 to 4.
I'm aware.
So aviators was the last great stand. The bowling alley's closed. I mean, we've managed to salvage the building, but those were our remaining anchors on the Freeport Boulevard along this part of the road. So I want to respect your time, and I know people have their hands up and they're very determined. I'm going to say we do something email, and I'll get back with your staff, and we'll set up a time for March or April for you to come back and talk about this more. I'm sure there'll be more budget information by then. And I'll also reach out and see what we can do to talk about improving the commercial corridor on Freeport Boulevard together. I know that Caity Maple is involved, and there's been talk of a P-bid. We probably need to do something like that, because everything is dying. Now that aviators is gone and the bowling alley is gone, it's about dead out there.
So as far as the P-bid goes, Jay Chenier and I tried that years ago when he was the city council person. P-bids are the heart and soul of South Sacramento business corridors. So you're not going to find anybody who supports it more than I do. It's really hard on Freeport Boulevard because it's so heavily populated by absentee landlords. And as you know, it's the property owners who approve P bids. And, you got a business person who has a business on Freeport Boulevard and they get that rent check in every month, but they live in Santa Clara. They don't care. Well, I almost cursed, but they don't care about Sacramento. And so I am here, and I've offered my support with Caity Maple, and to we can try it again, but it's a hard nut to crack on Freeport because it's very little local ownership.
I understand, and we won't solve it tonight, but you've got somebody in the community who is ready and willing to work on that any way we can. I miss my Freeport Boulevard corridor deeply. It was vibrant 20 years ago when I moved here.
No, I'm with you. I my first pair of shoes was probably at Dave's Shoes. So yeah.
All right. Well, we have kept you 7 minutes over your time, and I know that you were definitely sounding a little bit like you had a Zoom-in kind of evening. So I will reach out to your staff. We will bring you back. Barry and Will, I'm so sorry we didn't get to your hands this evening. Go ahead, and I know you know how to reach out to Supervisor Kennedy's office. Please email them your questions, or you can email them to me, and I'll get them off to his staff. And we will keep working on this. And if your schedule allows, we will have you back before the June hearings, because yeah, I'm hearing that the city and county budget cuts are pretty dire, and that's where this neighborhood association is headed next, is how can we best work together to keep the funding where we need it to go.
Great. Thanks, Jen. I appreciate it. And Barry, your hands up, but you always know where to get me.
Certainly. Great to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night. And Gavin Raders, good evening. Gavin Raders are you the president of the Planting Justice Organization? Is that the correct title for you?
I'm a co-founder and co-director.
Co-founder and co-director. Well, welcome this evening. It's been a long time. How have you been?
I've been pretty well. How about you?
I am doing great. I probably actually am doing better than the last time you saw me. So,
oh, that's wonderful.
It's good to be back together again in better circumstances. Yeah. And you have had people in that property. Stuff is going down.
It's happening. Yeah. Well, I mean, I mostly wanted to be here tonight to make sure that folks knew about our groundbreaking event. Has the word gotten out yet, Jen, to your network?
No, I have not been hearing anything through the city at all.
Okay, so I got a draft flyer from Amanda today that looks like it's hopefully going to go out tomorrow or the next day. We have a groundbreaking event on March 12th.
Okay.
And that will be at 9 a.m. And I have a draft of the flyer here. I don't know how useful it is to show this to you yet, but it'll be coming out
I'll make
soon.
it possible. I'll get you some hosting ability so you can put it up there.
Okay, sure.
That's always good.
Yeah, let me...
Let's see here. Wrong screen. Just a moment. Let me back up. Let me do this again. Nope. There you go.
Okay, let me see. All right.
Yay, it's there.
Yeah, so I'm sure the city and city council folks will be getting this out to you as soon as it's ready, Jen. I think it is pretty much ready. And yeah, it's just, it's a time for us to celebrate that there's work happening on site. Our general contractor is from the community and is contracting with local subs. Really on it and working pretty quickly through the initial phases of construction out there, which is to get all of our utilities in the ground first. And so that's all happening. Plumbing, electrical, grading, sewer, all that stuff is going in right now. And so it isn't the most attractive part of the process, but it's really important to really just have an event that really, marks this occasion. It's been such a long, difficult, challenging road to get to this point. This is my 4th major construction project at Planting Justice. And now I'm just wearied, weary in the experience of all of the invisible back end work that it takes to even get to a point where you can put shovels in the ground and get things going. So we really want to celebrate that with folks. So yeah, it says here, join us as we celebrate the long-awaited groundbreaking of Planting Justice in Three Sisters Gardens at the former City of Sacramento Tree Nursery, featuring a vegetable herb flower farm led by Three Sisters Gardens and an organic production nursery led by Planting Justice. Together, this coalition is transforming the former City Tree Nursery into a nationally significant center for urban agriculture, social entrepreneurship, youth mentorship, and farmer training. So we will be, we don't have our irrigation set up. Ideally, we would have loved to have gotten like the first 25 or 40 trees in the ground and have it be more of kind of a working event. All of that's to come. I know there's a lot of local neighbors who got green thumbs, are excited to participate. We'll have a lot of tree planting happening this calendar year. We're really going to kind of start a little bit from the outside in. There's a lot of caretaking along 34th Avenue that we want to do, cleaning up that property line there and really beautifying it. And so there'll be a lot of opportunities for folks to come out and plant with us. We're just not quite ready for that, but we're going to put in a tree or two on the 12th just to have it be more of a ceremony type of thing. Whereas the bulk of the greening is to come once the utilities are all in and once we have irrigation set up. If we plant just one or two trees, they'll be easier to take care of right now without irrigation. So we'll put in a couple trees. There'll be like representatives from Planting Justice and Three Sisters and the city there to answer questions, to talk about the site, really be on site so we can visualize together what is about to come. The last thing I'll say before I'm open to any questions is that the timeline for the rest of it, we have to go in slow stages given that it's a city-owned property. So the rules around sourcing and all of that are different. So what that has meant is that we couldn't put in the full building permit application all in one go. We had to have a public bid process to select our general contractor, and then that general contractor is the one who has to source all of the rest of our materials. So that's all the greenhouses and shade houses and things of that nature. So once the utilities are in, then our contractor has to put in our next round of building permit applications. The city and planning and building, they've all seen all of these before, so we're not expecting any major delays, but it is just kind of another administrative hurdle to get through. And then once all that happens, then the more kind of beautiful site transformation types of stuff will be able to happen, where you'll see greenhouses, shade houses going up, the nursery will start, and all that. So yeah.
Wonderful. Are there questions for him? Gavin, we have some people in the meeting tonight I haven't seen for a while, and they were excited about this opportunity and you coming this evening. So I'm hoping we're going to get some good questions, because there are people here who told me that they came because they were waiting for this segment.
I do have
I
some
see
questions.
one hand. Anybody else out there too? I just want to make certain we manage the time for the number of people. Okay, it looks like we just have the one hand. All right, Barry, go.
Well, then with that said, I'm going to take up all the time. Just kidding. Sort of. Anyway, just before I get to this topic, just a quick note for you, Jennifer, for the last topic. I think the city of Sacramento was pushing some city code through for absentee landlords, i.e., to what Supervisor Kennedy was speaking about, own the property but not here. Check with Caity's office and also with Pat's office to see if the county is doing something in regards to absentee landlords to force their hand to upkeep and everything else to be involved versus just thank you for the check and goodbye. Just FYI. But now back to Gavin. Oh my goodness, brother. This project has taken so long. I was like, okay, he just left the state. I mean, for real. It's like how many years now? but
Five,
Five.
five plus. Not
it
that
was
we're counting.
I, dang. I was just thinking 3 or 4.
I know.
Man. Anyway, with that said, congratulations. I'm glad it's moving forward. But with that, I thought you guys purchased a property. I didn't realize it was still a leasing thing.
No.
Now that you explained a lot with that. One of my questions was the ownership, and I'm like, this is absurd. And also the beautification around. You touched on that. Here's my question: with hearing, unfortunately, with the closing and the closures of so many businesses next to you, does the Planning Justice have any other projected entities to projected plans to purchase anything else, or at least any other businesses on Freeport to expand your footprint, or just your footprint will be there where you are?
Yeah, no, I don't think so, Barry. We just opened a nursery in El Sobrante. I don't know if anyone ever comes out this way. It's right off Highway 80 as you're heading into, Berkeley, Oakland area. We have 2 big projects in East Oakland. We have another nursery in East Oakland, and we're building out an aquaponics farm as well. So we definitely have enough work on our plates. That said, it takes a few anchor businesses and organizations to help revive, so I think it'll still help that there's like an active nursery and farm and community building happening there. It'll bring more people to the area, and we definitely want to support small business development in any way that we can. Some of what we do is training new beginning farmers, but it's not necessarily going to happen on Freeport. But yeah, quick answer to that is no. I think we've got enough on our plates.
Well, I appreciate that. Just lastly, the hopefully you guys will benefit from the Del Rio Trail and the continued expansion of Freeport Boulevard for the Del Rio Trail. I think the changing of lanes or narrowing of lanes and increasing the walk ride lanes. And to your point, so it'll bring more foot traffic, bike traffic, and bodies, period. And with that, last question, you touched on it, but what is the projected conclusion date of all things built and up and running there at 34th?
It's been many years of saying dates that don't come to fruition on all the projects we worked on. I mean, I got to tell you, it took us 6 years to finish the nursery in El Sobrante that just opened in December, and that was a $2.5 million renovation project of a old Japanese nursery. I mean, there was a lot: commercial kitchen, there's a cafe, there's a lot happening there, but it took a long time. This one, it's going to happen in phases. Three Sisters Gardens is able to start their farm after the utilities go in, so they'll be starting their farm this spring, summer. With probably first harvests happening in the fall. The Planting Justice Nursery takes another round of building permits, and then we'll be installing greenhouses, shade houses, many feet of raised beds for production of fruit trees and things like that. So I'm thinking probably around the between winter at the end of this year into spring. Ideally, by spring next year, we're full on in production at the nursery.
Fantastic. I'm sorry, Jen. Just one last for Gavin.
Actually, I'm going to say Will has his hand up and wants to ask a question. I'm going to try to be democratic and let both of you have one question because we are at Gavin's time right now.
Okay. The lead cleanup around where you are, has that been cleaned up, or is that something that is still ongoing?
The city finished it. Yeah, they did that long before we came in.
Thank you much.
That said, we're not planting in those areas.
Appreciate that. All right. Congratulations again.
Thanks.
All right. So, Gavin, how's your time? I know
You know,
you
I
have
should.
another
I'll
commitment.
give another couple minutes. I got a class meeting for my daughter's school at 7, but it's only 6 minutes from here, so I can be a couple minutes late. I'll leave in 4 minutes. How about that?
All right, so question and answer in 2 minutes, Commander Franco.
Hey Gavin, how's it going? I just wanted to say thank you for being here. I appreciate you. This is
Thanks.
something we've been looking forward to, helping along the way within the community. I know that having this, project become so lengthy is, kind of drawn a bunch of, attention and other people to the area. So having something in there would be greatly appreciated in a timely manner. And so with that being said, if there's anything that we can do to help, with the project or help push on the different city people, I know it does become very tumultuous to say the least when dealing with the city and the permitting and all this other stuff. So if there's anything that we can do to kind of help in the advocacy and help push these things forward, and as the plans continue to evolve, if you could please keep Jen apprised to what's going on, that way at least we have a channel of information. I know it's hard for you to reach out to all of us, right? But Jen's a staunch advocate for the area and always keeps us up to date. And so I'd appreciate it if you could keep her in the loop, and that way she can kind of share in the facilitation of what's happening as the plan continues to move forward. As you had said, it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to be in phases, and we understand that. But if we could be, kept in the loop on some of those things, we'd appreciate that. And again, thank you for what you do.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. And yes, 100%. We'll continue to keep you in the loop, Jennifer. And thank you much. Thank you so much for facilitating that information getting out to everybody.
I will always do that. And Janelle is a longtime resident and very active in the area. And Janelle, you have a question for him, and we've got 1.5 minutes.
Okay, Gavin, really quickly. So my understanding originally was that the space that you were going to be occupying in that area was only about half of what it currently looks like you're using. And I'm really glad to see the whole area being used. But was that an expansion that came upon?
No. The intention is to utilize the entire site.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Very excited to see work going on down there. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to meeting you, Janelle. Thanks.
All right, and that takes us up to 3 minutes past your time, and I do want you to be in that meeting and have a great conversation with your teachers. So thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
We're here to support you. Stay in touch.
I know that. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks so much.
Bye. Oh, all right, good conversation. And we are moving towards our next agenda item with Sergeant Gutierrez of SacPD. Good evening, sir. We've never met before. How are you this evening?
Good evening. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great. I'm loving this conversation that we're having.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of good stuff happening.
Uh-huh. It's not boring around here, but I'm sure you know a lot more about the excitement happening in our area than we do. So,
I
how we kind of put this segment together a little abruptly today, and I didn't expect you to come prepared with a lot, but is there anything you want to share with us to begin with before we start raising concerns and asking other questions?
No, and there's nothing. I just wanted to come in and introduce myself. I patrol the area where the neighborhood is at. I'm in charge of the patrol team that's out here. So a lot of the concerns that you guys will be having, they'll be coming directly to me. So I wanted to be here to introduce myself and make sure that you guys have a direct contact to me in my office line and my cell phone. So if you have any concerns that my officers can take care of, I'll be more than happy to help. That being said, I did pull the stats for the neighborhood, and unlike a lot of the other neighborhoods, specifically the Pocket and Meadowview, we've seen an increase in car burglaries and residential burglaries, but your neighborhood has not been having those issues as of the last month from the stats that I pulled. So I think that's a good thing. It goes to show that mostly because your community is very much involved, and I think that has a lot to do with it. So, but other than that, I'm free to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Well, we have had home break-ins in the last 6 months, but no, nobody has called me up and said, Jen, we've been hit again in the last month. So I'm glad to hear that you're getting reported about what I'm getting reported. We're not having a mismatch in all of that. I want to check in. We do have a good number of local residents in here today. Barry, I see your hand. I'm going to ask any of our Mangan Park residents if they have questions and take their hand first on this one. Because we're all out there and we see stuff. While they're thinking about it, I'll say that the tree nursery that you just heard the conversation about has been a major source of criminal activity for us. So getting that property occupied full time with lawful engagement, I'm hoping will be a significant cut in crime in the area. We still have problems with the Fruitridge side, but the 34th Avenue side of the neighborhood, it almost always comes out of that abandoned tree nursery, and people have been living in there. They cut holes in the fences. We're forever doing 311. Mail gets dumped out there. The trailers park. We've seen really dangerous stuff going on in front of that property, and we can't see beyond it. So that's a significant one. If it gets occupied and used every day, we're going to see an improvement. I see one other hand raised. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands from my Mangan Park neighbors. So I'm guessing that they're not coming in with any direct reports or questions for you. So Barry, take it away.
Thank you. And good evening, Sargeant. I live down the street in the Meadowview community, but my question expands because I do use Freeport Boulevard. With last, Jennifer, cue me back in because my time span seems to be floating here. I want to say last year and the year prior, there were a lot of fires there on Freeport Boulevard. With that said, I haven't heard or seen anything in the news as it was rampant then. My question is, has there been arrests in those fires or make it a little simpler? Were those fires criminal activities or were they grease fires? I know the ones outside could not have been grease fires. So just in a nutshell, have individuals been arrested for those multiple fires that Freeport Boulevard suffered over the last couple of years? It was many.
Yeah, I do recall those. And to be honest, I don't know the answer whether somebody was taken into custody for those. The fire department handles those investigations, not the police department. They have fire investigators that do those for arson investigations. So I would suggest maybe getting a fire representative to talk about that portion of it. I will tell you, though, that a lot of those fires did come from homeless camps. And our impact team has been working through the Freeport corridor to clear out most of those camps and give them the resources they need, either in housing or relocate them. But the majority of those fires that I do recall were, in fact, started by homeless camps.
I appreciate that. I didn't know. I knew the fire department investigated, of course, but I thought it would funnel back to the police department, i.e. to go out and arrest someone. As you stated, I forgot you're just starting up here. But with that said, it's good to see that, well, Jennifer can clue us all in, have the fires pretty much stopped.
Well, now that everything's burned down, yeah.
Yeah, that's not good.
There isn't much left that is functional. So that was that tail end of that conversation you heard me having with Supervisor Kennedy about revitalizing Freeport, because there are no more anchors left. Aviators is the last one. We now have a couple of very small medical practices operating in tiny little rooms around burned out shells of large mall type structures. So you can go to a Jack in the Box, you can go to a Burger King, Ikebana, and a ramen noodle house. There are, and the fish and chips and the Koreans, there are a couple of really nice small family restaurants still there, but yeah, none of the major pools are left, none of the big names. It's all gone.
Yeah, we did have a a fire scare at the bowling alley. I think it was Sunday night. They're still being monitored by the property owner through camera surveillance video. They let us know there was a couple of homeless people in the back, and they were starting to fire. Luckily for us, the officers got there quicker before the fire got out of control and got into the building. But again, those investigations, once we get there and make sure the fire's not, we don't determine whether it's a crime or not. We just call the fire department. They have investigators who are also peace officers, but they fall under the jurisdiction of the fire department, and they're the ones who come out and do the investigation, and they make those arrests.
Fantastic. I forgot about that part of the being law enforcement through the fire department. Jennifer, going back to what I stated about the properties, the absentee landlords go back to Supervisor Kennedy and to Caity Maple, force the hand for absentee landlords to take care of those burnt out buildings, tear down, rebuild, or whatever, but don't let them lag. The neighborhood would have to come forward and stand with you on that push.
Well, we'll do our darndest, and I can also have SAC Fire Captain Justin Silva come on out. We haven't heard from him in about 6 months, so I'll ask him to come on out for safety minutes in March or April, whenever his schedule will allow, so that he can answer any questions about the fires. The last time he came to a Mangan Park meeting and was asked about any arrests in those fires, the answer at that time was no. There have been no arrests. Nothing was even ruled stronger than suspicious. So nothing has been ruled as absolutely criminal arson, but either accidental to suspicious, but we can't prove it. So, but it has been more than 6 months, and Captain Justin's wonderful, and we'll have him out one of these months, and we'll ask him again and see what we've got going on. I'm doing my best to keep the conversation going and let people know we're paying attention, and we want a vibrant commercial corridor to support the vibrancy and fabulous neighbors who all live here. We're all still here, and we all want it. And it would also reduce the work on SacPD, because SacPD could use a little backup also, to have a lot of legitimate business and activity would ease a lot of your tension and a lot of your stress also. Yeah. And Commander Franco, I believe do you still have a question, sir, for Sergeant Gutierrez? No? All right. Any other questions for Sergeant Gutierrez?
Well, yes. Generally, how's it going, Sergeant Gutierrez?
It's going good. I think the city's turning pretty good. I'm speaking on my behalf because I'm local to Sacramento and I live in this area. So for me, yeah, we're seeing businesses shut down, but I think the community overall is just progressing so well. I enjoy seeing so much stuff going on, like the activities that we have on a regular basis on the weekends and stuff like that. I think things are going great, as in my opinion. As far as the city goes, there's always going to be issues and there's always going to be crime, but we're trying our best to mitigate some of those issues and make people feel safe again. So,
good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is almost your time at 7:05. We're actually wrapping up almost under schedule. I would like to let you know that every month that the Mangan Park Neighborhood Association meets, there is a SacPD safety minutes, a minimum of 10, but frequently 15 minutes to do a check-in. And generally that's at the start of the meeting, but this evening Supervisor Kennedy was fairly insistent that he wanted the 6 to 6:30 slot, and he had other places to go. So I kind of bent on this one for him so that he could get on to his other evening activities. But generally, SacPD safety minutes are the first 15 minutes. So the meeting starts at 6, introductions to 6:05, and SacPD safety minutes go until about 6:20. And we do this all the time. You're always welcome. And I actually am happy to welcome officers, lieutenants, anybody in the chain of command. Any SacPD representative is welcome. And I actually do kind of like to mix it up. So Lieutenant Cunningham sounded a little abashed he couldn't be here tonight. And I basically said, don't apologize. It's great to have a sergeant on duty who is part of the patrol for the area come and talk to us and have a chance to share a conversation with us. It means more when we have these kinds of conversations before something happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I thank you for the invite. And you invite me and I'll be right back. I have no problems doing that. On the chat, I'm gonna drop my email and then my phone number. So if you guys have any concerns or any issues you want my patrol team to take care of, feel free to email me or call me and we'll get to it.
And I will be happy to accept that email and let you know whenever we've got some concerns.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you so very much. We appreciate having you come out this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And next up, Jackie Beecham.
Hello.
Hello there, Jackie. And you are the Director of Youth Parks and Community Enrichment.
Yes.
And there is word of stuff happening in parks. So talk to us. What you got going on?
Like the sergeant said, I mean, there's lots of stuff happening, right? And love to see all the activities and things happening in the community for families, for our youth. And our department does so much of that, right? So youth parks and community. I'm Jackie Beecham, by the way. I've come to a few of your meetings, Jennifer. It's been a while. Jennifer and I had a chance to meet last week, I think, talking about some really creative and fun ideas to bring arts to the park. But I had a chance to update Jennifer on some of the city's budget challenges that we're currently facing. And so, our parks, we know our youth parks and community enrichment. It's a fancy name for parks and recreation. So you can just call us the parks department, but it's all things parks and recreation, youth, community centers. We provide that quality of life experience for our youth and families through our parks, through our pools, through our community centers. And here we are as a city facing another year of a structural budget deficit. The city, as we're preparing for our fiscal year 27 budget, we are facing a $66.2 million structural deficit. Like in years past, all of departments that receive general fund support have been asked to bring forward 15% reduction strategies. And that's of what our net general fund budget is. And the goal of bringing forward these strategies is to try to reduce this deficit, the $6 million deficit, while also trying to minimize the impacts with those reductions on the community and service levels. So with our budget being primarily general fund, we have a $65 million operating budget in our parks department, of which almost $50 million is general fund. We have to get really creative and strategic in the strategies that we put forward, again, with a third year in a row. I'm really proud of the work that our team has done in the parks department in the last 2 years. We've been able to maintain service levels and support the city and be good partners and bring forward recommendations for reductions without impacting our levels of service, whether that was maintaining service levels for our youth programs, maintaining park levels, not having to lay off employees, and really make sure that we're taking care of our community. Unfortunately, this year, with the position that the city is in, that's going to be very difficult to do without having some impact on levels of service. And so next week, will be the big kickoff to these budget discussions as a city. There have been some changes, Jennifer. The Parks Department actually is not going to be presenting our budget strategies or reduction strategies until the 17th of March. But next week is going to kick off the larger citywide discussion. And so I think it's a great opportunity to tune in and hear kind of what the overall strategies are. And really give the community an opportunity to hear what's going on and give you time to weigh in and have a voice in how the city is planning and preparing for the upcoming fiscal year. So next week, our finance team is going to be sort of doing a budget 101. Here's what the city is dealing with in the upcoming fiscal year. Here are all the various strategies that every general fund department has put forward, our sort of baseline. And then in the coming weeks after that, every department will be coming forward talking about the different strategies and the impacts that they could have on levels of service to the community. And so the strategies could range from adjusting pool hours, reducing community center hours, right? Capacities for youth programs could potentially change. So there might be some changes within those strategies that will be on the table in order to achieve that 15% reduction. These are just strategies. These are just scenarios, but these are all strategies that council and the public will have an opportunity to weigh in on and discuss and consider as part of the upcoming budget adoption. So these conversations are going to continue over the next couple of months. And then the final proposed budget from the city manager will come forward towards the end of April, beginning of May, with council making the final decision and adoption in June. The big difference, I would say, between two things, between last year and this year. Number one, these conversations are happening much earlier this year than they did in years past, which is a good thing. It's really giving council, of course, an opportunity to start evaluating some of these different scenarios, right? And trade-offs and options for how we're going to close this deficit. But most importantly, in my opinion, an opportunity for the public and for the community to have a voice in this process, really to be a part of the budget development process. Every council meeting, every budget hearing is an opportunity to show up, to submit public comment, to really advocate for what's important to you and what services you want to see continue to happen in your community. If you want to see your pools continue to stay open, if you want to see community centers continue to be supported, if you want to see your parks continue to stay green and bathrooms clean, this is the time, right? This is the time that we need your support. So it is to be seen, right? How this all ends up working out. But we know people love our parks and they are vital to our communities. We have 243 parks in our city. It's a place of social connection. And we all know from our pandemic how important and critical they were to quality of life and bringing people together in safe spaces, right? Same thing with many of the programs that we provide through our parks and our community centers and our swimming pools. So we are hopeful, and we have a few months of challenging conversations and discussions to get through, but I am hopeful that we will see the other side of this and continue to be able to bring some really great programs and services and opportunities through our Parks Department to the community. We are going to continue. If we want to deliver any programs and services this summer, we have to continue our hiring efforts. So with that, we are still hiring. We have 17 pools in the city. And so my hope is we will continue operating in some capacity, regardless of if there are budget reductions. We will continue to be able to provide, safe swimming opportunities for recreational swim across our city. So we are hiring. I'll try to drop some flyers in the chat here. If you're looking for any youth opportunities or any people of all ages, right? We're hiring. If you want to come have a summer job, we would love to have you. We're hiring for lifeguards. We're also hiring up at Camp Sacramento. If you're familiar with Camp Sacramento, we have some great camp opportunities up there. And then our landscape and learning program is also hiring. That goes out. It's a youth program that goes out and supports our park maintenance team in our parks. Quick update from our park planning team on the Mangan walkways. If some of you are looking for an update there. The construction drawings for the perimeter walk around the eastern portion of the park are completed. It is pending the final environmental review and a supplemental funding agreement. So we're still waiting on that, but it is underway, and we are hopeful that we'll have some news soon. We'll be able to continue that project moving forward. As far as our park maintenance team goes, outside of the walkway construction, there are no other super exciting updates. We did have a little leak in the pool. We were able to get it repaired. So fortunately, everything is ready to go for the pool. And pending any significant budget impacts, our plan is to open and operate as usual. I don't want to steal Jennifer's thunder, but we did have a really great discussion last week and are just looking forward to some potential art programs in collaboration, art in the parks, right? With our department, our Convention Cultural Services department, and in partnership with our Arts and Parks commissions. So more to come on that. And thank you for having me, Jennifer. I'm happy to answer any questions, but of course, happy to continue participating in your meetings and provide updates as we learn more about our budget and any other relevant items to bring to your group.
That all sounds wonderful, and you didn't rain on my parade at all. Yeah, I'm looking forward to a great collaboration. However the word gets out, I'm thrilled to be doing this with you and with other people. We're going to have some great art in the park programs happening. Will, you've got your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you, Jackie. Really appreciate you being here. Strong show of leadership, and thank you for participating. With the 15% reduction policy put on you, are there any priorities that you guys might be looking at in order to kind of make those things happen? One question. Next question would be around the different hiring efforts. As you had stipulated, a lot of it might be around the pools and keeping people cool in the hot season. So coming up, that's awesome to hear. I'm very happy to hear that. Art is one of those things that we're always looking for. So kudos you. I'm very happy to hear that. Adding culture to the community is always a wonderful thing. And lastly, within this, obviously you have to clean up 15% or whatever that the operating costs normally would be. Do you guys have specific projects that are still going to be moving forward or be put on pause because of that? And so just general questions. And then last for me, if there's any way that we can continue conversations outside of this, that'd be appreciated. I don't want to continue to pound you in this meeting. So
yeah,
Thank you.
Those are fantastic questions. And to answer your last question first, I would love to. Absolutely. I'll provide my contact information here, and please feel free to reach out anytime. Would love to hear your ideas and see how we can continue the discussions. As far as priorities, absolutely. Our priority is to really, and as it has been the last couple of years, really refocus on the preservation of our core services, right? And our core services are to ensure that our parks are clean, green, and safe, ensure that our community centers are accessible and available in service for all, but specifically our more vulnerable populations. That is many of our youth and our older adults. That is really where our priority is. So it might be a realignment or restructuring of some of the programs that are happening in those spaces, but having open doors and open safe spaces is critical, and making sure that our parks are safe. Those are really the baseline core services that we have to achieve. We provide some really wonderful youth programs. There may be a restructure or realignment of those. But if we did face these reductions and I had an opportunity to restore, that's where I would go first. That would be the goal. And I hope we don't get the full 15% reduction. We're talking, if we were to have a 15% reduction, those are the types of things that we would be looking at. It might look like working with community partners or alternative service providers to try to maintain levels of service, but maybe somebody else can help us to provide that, right? So we're trying to be as creative as we can. There are also revenue enhancement opportunities, but we are not in the service of trying to charge people to bring this service to you, right? We want to be as accessible as we can and not create barriers to participation. We are here in service to the community. So we don't have that opportunity. We're not trying to create more challenges for participation in our programs and difficulty accessing the services that we provide. So I would love to hear if you have ideas and other strategies and ways that we can work together. Again, year number 3, we can't cut our way out of this year after year after year. We're going to have to get really creative as an organization to find new solutions and revenue opportunities as a city, right, to fix this. But we're doing our part. And then did you have a question about hiring? Was there another question about hiring? Or was that it?
No, no, no. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that there's a lot that's focused in the youth, and so my questions would be more about like how can we help in getting those those positions filled to ensure that when the heat comes, and we all know it's coming, that those pools, those 17 pools that you have within your jurisdiction are fully functional, and we have the largest amount of hour spectrums available for those people to keep nice and cool. So
yeah, I appreciate that. I'll share some flyers, and if you can share that information out, that would be wonderful. Oh, and your last question, one of the other questions you asked was about projects. We are very much deficit or not. We have $130 million deferred maintenance burden. We struggle with. We don't have a difficulty finding dollars to build, but we do have a challenge with the ongoing maintenance for many of these things that we build, right? Mm-hmm. And so my sort of goal is fix it first, right? That's what we're really focusing on. Let's fix the things that we have. Let's focus on ensuring the things that we have are safe and and can be utilized by the community. So really focusing on those core service levels and ensuring that our playgrounds are safe and accessible, ensuring that we don't have potholes surrounding our parks, and ensuring that our sidewalks around our parks are safe and maintained. That's really where we are focusing our efforts. Now we have some projects that are grant funded, where we have that funding to be able to see those projects through. But really the focus on is bringing those more core services that are essential to communities. Bringing those projects forward is really what the focus is right now.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you.
Of course. Thank you.
Other questions for Jackie?
All right.
Okay. I will say I do have a couple of other ideas that we can talk about for how we can keep engagement. I know that Mangan Park residents love Mangan Park, and that park gets used by people all the time. And if we need to pull together to be down there to get necessary tasks accomplished to help maintain it, I think my neighbors will do that. And I'll be happy to help organize and coordinate that. But I don't know how that would look yet. And we can absolutely talk about how we can do that. I know Land Park community, the Land Park volunteers have been doing great things for a long time, but that's not a city. I believe that's a county park, not a city one. So how that would look within the city, I don't know. But I found myself thinking, I wonder if we need to do something like that, where we all have park work days and we go out and we take care of some of those things as volunteers to save the city some money while we're waiting for funding to come back. So we can look into that as well. And Commander Franco and we can also reach out to the veterans and see what the veterans feel like doing.
I can definitely put something together, a couple work parties to kind of help out with whatever beautification efforts if we come up with something. Yeah.
I know that when I put out a word to veterans on the Nextdoor platform for the area, we get responses. If you tell veterans, we need you, and you give them a good time and place and enough heads up, you'll get easy 10 people, easy, sometimes more than that. Not a difficult situation at all for the veterans in the area. So yes, we can look at that. And in case anybody wanted to know, the arts program we're talking about are park sketchers, and to go out and once a month, come out with your paper and your ballpoint pen or your pencil. I mean, you don't need fancy equipment, but let's all go on out to a park once a month on a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon and pick a view of the park we like and sketch it and take pictures and put it on social media and share it with the city and tell the world what amazing parks that we have and how they're inspiring to the artists of the area, and bring our artists together and have the artists get to know one another. And even if you're not an artist, you can still come out and do that. You can bring the kids with their crayons, and we can all have a good couple hours sitting in the park drawing together. I mean, How cool would that be? So that is the basis of the idea, to encourage participation in our parks and to bring people together through our parks. And that is something I'm going to be approaching the parks and the arts and culture commissions about, and making certain we get verified and certified, and we've got proposals and plans and calendars and all that good stuff, and we go forth boldly, drawing happily, and well supported. So that is what we have in the works right now. And I think it's timely also with budget cuts that we make certain that people are out in their parks, taking a good look at their parks and saying, what do we have here? And what better way to get people to connect than to have them go and sit and look at a corner of it for 2 hours and really notice everything about that corner of the park while they're hanging out with their friends, and probably have something good to drink. And I don't know, we could probably arrange for some food at the end of all of it too, just for some good fellowship kind of stuff. So we're looking into it. We're going to make it happen, and I'll keep you fully informed as well. I'm going to be heading towards the Parks Commission next and requesting a sponsorship from them, and we'll see how it all rolls from there. Hopefully by this summer is my hopeful date, when we get the first 1 or 2 of these happening sometime before summer vacation really gets going. So, any other questions for Jackie now that we've kind of talked and talked and talked on that?
Jennifer, I'm forwarding you several flyers. I'm having a hard time dropping them in the chat right now, so I'm going to send them to you. If you wouldn't mind sharing them with the group, that would be wonderful.
Not a problem at all.
And I will also send separately some additional information on our VIP program, which is a volunteer in parks program that we have recently sort of renewed this program. And you might see our big trailer out at different volunteer planting events. It's a huge trailer that says volunteer in parks. And we go out with several different community groups. Would love to host something with the Macon Park Neighborhood Association. It's not just planting trees, it's coordinating cleanups, it's park beautification efforts, all sorts of really wonderful stuff. We partner with the Councilmember's office regularly, so we can chat about that. We'd love to get something together with your group.
Absolutely. It's almost done. Consider it just about, it's 85% done with you just saying that. We'll make this happen, and I'll be in touch with your office very shortly so we can start setting dates and getting the paperwork out. And June is when we typically have our ice cream social in the park, and so if we've got everything organized well enough, we might be able to do signups at the ice cream social in June. So that is a thought. Okay, I've got some wrap up kinds of things to do and make some announcements. Jackie, before I let you go, you were talking about how the budget process with the city is going, not to be confused with the budget process of the county at the start of the meeting. We've got 2 budget processes being discussed in this meeting at the same time, for those of you who are listening to the recording. Patrick Kennedy was talking about the county process, which is running later. Jackie is with the city and has been talking about the city process, which is running much sooner. So the Budget 101 next week is at the city council meeting on March 3rd. Is that correct?
That is correct. So March 3rd at 2 p.m. will be a budget kickoff with a sort of overall budget strategy plan, announcing what the next steps are for the upcoming fiscal year. And that's at 2 p.m.
All right. Got it. That's good to know. I was going to ask I thought it was going to be at the 5 p.m., but you're saying it's at the 2 p.m. session.
2 p.m.
And then there's going to be budget stuff happening every Tuesday, either at the 2 p.m. or the 5 p.m. session. For those who may be new to how the city process works, generally the agendas are released to the public on Thursday afternoon for the Tuesday meetings. So I don't have access to the March 3rd at 2 p.m. agendas yet. I will have access to them probably around 2 or 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon is when I'll be checking and getting the links and putting it in the description for the video. So as the video goes out, people can go down to the links below. I get to do that sometimes and find the link to the meeting agenda so that you can check out what's going on with the Budget 101. I encourage everybody to at least read the agenda for the Budget 101. and take a look at any calendars that are in there. And trying to do everything all at once is always a sense of overwhelm, but pick your one or two most heartfelt things that you want to address, and look for those dates, those times, and be at the city council meeting to talk about the budget areas that express your values the most. And then let's see here. You also said for the parks, March 17th is your hearing. So that's another date. If your values correspond with supporting parks and parks funding, March 17th is a big date for you. And the adoption, it's all over for the budget sometime in June, and that's actually pretty common. I know that SacPD just did a kind of a budget meeting last night at the city council meeting, but they're probably going to have another one because the cuts are pretty deep. And then also in other calendar matters discussed today is the Planting Justice. There we go. Groundbreaking ceremony is March 12th at 9 a.m. So those are the significant dates that were discussed in this meeting. Jackie, did I miss any dates for parks or from your segment?
No, and I sent those flyers to you to share out too.
Great. They will go with the email when I send the announcement with the recording link once the recording link is public. I think we're getting a really clean copy tonight. So hopefully I don't have to do any editing, and we'll just be dropping this lovely meeting into YouTube and getting it published and getting the link on out there. Okay, so that's the little fast summary on the dates for this meeting. Jackie, I think we've kept you past your time a little bit. I think
And real quick, I know Aziza had her hand up real quick. I don't know if she still has a question.
Aziza, was that question for Jackie?
No.
Or is that other announcements?
An announcement.
Okay.
Then we're going to let Jackie go, and we'll do other announcements in just a moment. Thank you, Jackie. It's been grand.
Take care.
Thanks.
All right, Aziza, you have updates from Councilmember Caity Maple.
I'll be quick. I can also send you these flyers, and they'll also be on our social media. But the next event that we have is going to be a town hall, and we are actually going to be talking about the city's budget then, March 18th. I believe I'll have to double check the time, but it will definitely be at Oak Park Community Center. And so if you have questions by March 18th, if you need to talk through something, if you want to advocate for something, that's a good time to do it. And then we also have our community cleanup coming up. Oh, there you can see that. Yeah, that's perfect.
Did I get it on the screen? I typed it for you.
Thanks. That's perfect. Yeah. Oh, we also had the coffee with Caity today. It was really fun. We'll be doing another one again. If you missed it or if anyone wants to do it, yeah, we'll be having a second one. And then yeah, town hall, budget, community cleanup. It's going to be around the Southgate Plaza area on March 28th. That's all.
Okay, and there is a link there, sacd5.com/newsletter. So you can get any future updates and get links for more information to all these events. And as you heard, all those links will be in the description down below that Aziza sends me. And when I send out the email reminder or the email announcement that the recording's published and live, I will also be including hard copies of those flyers with the email. And my mass email list is countywide, not just city, but countywide. So I'll be flyering everybody across town, basically, is what's going to happen. And we'll get the word out.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Anything else from Caity Maple's office? Any other news?
Nothing yet. We're just excited about the new garden.
Yeah, we're all pretty excited about that. And it's super exciting for Jackie to say that the pool's going to be open this summer. Because when she asked, what do you want me to talk about? I was like, well, I know everybody's going to want to know with the budget cuts if the pool's going to be open. That's going to be a top question right there. So she came very well prepared to say, yeah, no, you're getting the pool this summer. And I was like, yay. We love our pool. We're so happy to have our pool happening again this summer. We use that pool. We need that pool. Okay. Anybody else have announcements, stuff coming up? Will, you got anything from the veterans? Barry, Saki JC up to any good troublemaking?
Other than all the events that we have coming up, you know, the national holidays and stuff like that, and that's something that we want to put on the council members' radar and start with the budget stuff, you know, whether it's Memorial Day and having the involvement with that, with the flag planting up at the historical cemetery. That was another thing that I was going to take offline with Jackie, just to make sure we get enough water out there at the cemetery. She mentioned something about water, and I'm like, oh, it's really hard to plant those flags if we don't water. So I don't know what's been going on out there as far as maintenance, but I know in years past that's kind of been a thing. And so in preparation for Veterans Day and the semi-quincentennial. So we have the semi-quincentennial 250th birthday of the nation. And so we'll be doing something up at the capital region. And so we'll be looking for some support then. Yeah, there's, as you know, we have numerous events, but let's just stay focused on the national holidays, if you will, and the importance of what it means to those veterans. And then, Aziza, just so you know, I personally am not a veteran. I just continue to give back to veterans, as is Jen. And so we're staunch veteran advocates and, you know, big community advocates, and we just continue to try and help out wherever we can.
Those sound like great events, and send me those flyers. I'll get everything out on Nextdoor. I will get stuff put out on the email, and definitely if you're back with us before let's say it, yeah, probably April. If you can be at the April meeting, you can give us the big full what we're doing for Memorial Day weekend on our 250th anniversary. So I'd love to have you back to tell us more about that and get as much community support for that one at the April meeting. The date isn't yet set. Aziza, is there a date set for the March Mengen Park meeting yet? I sent out a request, I think it was yesterday. It's not a lot of time. Has there been anything kind of calendared yet on that?
I've not taken a look yet. From my side, I haven't calendared anything, but I think I should be available at those times, and I'll be the one to come
All right.
to attend.
I will. We don't have to set it right now. I'm not saying you have to like tell me a date right now.
I can
I'll get
probably tell
back
you
to
right
you.
now. Yeah.
Let's see here. I think, well, we were waiting for Andrew Powers because he was coming back with SB 802 for our next month's meeting
Oh,
to talk about, give us the update. So Andrew gave us some likely days that would work for him and a day that wouldn't. We can go ahead and do that offline, and I'll just get the date put in the description of the meeting down below again. Yeah, we can set it up soon. Barry, Alex, anything going on in your advocacy worlds?
Well, Jen, I'll say, oh, I forgot you were at the meeting too, but the public comment for AB 617 strategies, the AB 617 mandated community steering committee, to which I am a committee member, and Jennifer is always in attendance and bringing forward super issues that need to be addressed. And with that, even with the strategies that have been picked so far, they still need to be addressed. And any community member, everybody is invited, period, not only in the boundaries, which is Freeport Boulevard to just east of Bradshaw, Broadway north to the city limits south. That is the CERP community, and CERP is the the acronym for Community Emissions Reduction Plan, i.e. mitigate air pollution. With that said, any comments that you and or those who you may want to spread this to can still be brought forward to the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District, shortening that to AQMD, shortening that to the district. With that said, go to the district's website. There we go. And you can find the CERP strategies. and read through, and anything that you'd want to add your opinion or comments to, even though public comment did close last Sunday, still bring forward your information. This Monday, the CERT meeting will be by Zoom, and I just realized they haven't sent us the Zoom link yet, so I can't put it forward. But that'll be Monday, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. And yes, it goes 2 hours, but it goes quick because there's so much information that's given. But folks can still attend the CERT meeting and bring forward any comments that you have. And with that said, the following, 2 weeks after that, the third Monday is our outreach meeting. And I think we will still be discussing SERP strategies. And then the fourth Monday, which is the monthly meeting, is when the committee will vote on the strategies that have been brought forward and have been critiqued, redesigned, or whatever. And when the committee votes on those strategies, the fourth Monday of March, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., more than likely it'll be at the Maple Neighborhood Center there at 37th Avenue off of Franklin. Those will go on to the district and their board, and then they'll have it for a month, and then it'll go to the California Air Resources Board. So that long-windedness to say right now it's about SERP strategies, finding better strategies, in my opinion, than have been offered that we voted on, because there's really no pollution mitigation from gross polluters in our strategies, which makes absolutely no sense, because that was the whole reason behind AB 617. But I am just one vote, and I'll stop there. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Barry. I really appreciate that thorough update. And Alex, anything on your calendar coming up to share with the general public? I believe your church tends to do a lovely spring themed or Easter themed family day of some kind. You got that happening again this year?
Well, thank you, Jennifer. And I wanted to also say thank you to Barry, because there was a very complete report there on some real important topics. Yes, the church has the 100-year celebration, and I'm split. I'm here with you. I live in Elk Grove. I serve the church there in Valley High, and so I'm kind of spread out, but I enjoy the opportunity to come and participate in the Mangan Park activities. I've got a postal box in that area, so that's my address too. So I'm in the neighborhood, if you will. Now, the church's celebration of 100 years is going to focus on the last 20 years, and most of what we'll be doing there at Valley High Park and Center Parkway in the Valley High community is to celebrate the church's history and invite past members, and it's open to the public. And the date of the event is going to be April the 25th, a Saturday there, with the design to just carry on the tradition of the church's activities in Sacramento area, from Steiner Boulevard to various locations, and then here at Valley High and Center Parkway. So that happens, and it should be morning event for a few hours. And while I don't have a flyer, I just say that I'll have a chance to come back and touch base during the March meeting, and I can give more information as needed. So that's it.
That sounds good.
Thanks.
All right. I think we are just about all talked out, and we're only 15 minutes over time today. That's doing really good for us.
Yes, it is.
So, thank you for being with us to the very, very end of our, let's see here, 1 hour and 45-minute meeting. The conversation's been rich. Your questions have been wonderful. I think we have done a lot of good networking and communication good. And we've all got stuff that that needs our attention. And if you are watching the recording of this meeting, your attention is also appreciated. And if you can come to any of these meetings, if you can reach out to me or to Aziza or any of these other people, to say you want to work with us and come alongside us, we would love to have you join us. There's a lot of good work to be done, and we're looking for the good people who love their neighbors and their neighborhoods to come on out and join with us and keep this place, or even make it even more wonderful than it already is. So thank you again, everybody. I wish you a good month, and we will be back sometime in the 4th week of March, either a Monday, Wednesday, or Thursday evening. However, Aziza and Andrew and I sort it all out, and we will have another one of these great conversations. So thank you again. I'll be in touch with all of you in the next month, I am sure. And I look forward to our next conversations.
Hey, Jen, just real quick. Remember when scheduling March Madness for those sports fans.
Always good to hear from you, Barry.
That's great.
That's right. We got to keep that on the calendar, Aziza. Let's remember. Don't mess with March Madness.
Really?
Hey, I've already started scheduling around it, so I'm just saying. You guys have a good evening.
You got to keep it straight, Barry. Keep it straight.
Good night.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.